All right. So I'll start us off in the northeast of the map. In blue, we've got Lucas playing the Chinese civilization. And now in red, in the southwest, we've got Sven playing the Haudenosaunee. Tell me, Harrison, generally speaking, this matchup, I mean, what would you favor on this map? Are you expecting to see some water play or this to stay on land?
What a fantastic introduction there from USC. It's a pleasure to cast with you finally. I've heard so many of your fun, enthusiastic casts of the amateur division, so hopefully we have a good series here. China versus Eero. I feel like I would like to see Eero be somewhat on the offensive here and put pressure on China. Recently, China meta has changed into a kind of a colonial push out agenda with the many villages and sending military unit shipments back to back. So it'll be interesting to see how this matchup has changed. It's not a common matchup you see. I don't really recall the last time I saw China versus Haudenosaunee, so we'll have to find out. What I do see, though, early dock coming down here from Sven, so Sven going to go for more of the economical approach, but has recently found itself to be a lot more in favour than saving the woods and being more aggressive with that.
Very, very interesting. And from what we know about these players, I mean, do we know how familiar and the extent to which these players main these civs? I mean, how much China have we seen from Lucas over the years and Haudenosaunee from Sven? Like, what kind of familiarity can we expect from these guys?
So Lucas is famous for his China. China is Lucas's number one go-to main squeeze, and it's quite funny. It just reminds me of the how new you are to the scene in game when you're asking what Lucas's main civilization is. It's like basically it's the equivalent of asking what's the main civ of Aussie Drongo or what's the main civ of Give You Anxiety. That's the tier of the amount of games Lucas has played Spain. Sven though, a bit more of an unknown character. Only played against him on the ladder a couple of times. Last time I played versus Sven, he was playing as the Japanese civilization, but he's now playing the Haudenosaunee behind this, going for this economic opening. Who knows, maybe his playstyle is to go Sears with strong early eco openings and then utilise that for the military advantage, which, is very similar to how Japan with the Kani Mata opening plays out.
See Sven taking an early treasure there. That looks like it's some HP. Is that the XP and coin treasure? Yes, it is. So Sven takes that on the west of the map. Gonna speed up his first shipment. So definitely not going to complain about that. And we've got China now going to pretty handily take care of these lines and take the 80 wood treasure. So both should be reasonably satisfied with that. In the meantime, we've got Sven already kind of taking his eco there onto the water. I mean, can we have a look at Lucas's deck yet? Has he got anything in his deck to try to defend the water or get Sven off that water?
I love how you open up the deck and there's like a little placeholder image for all of the cards before. It was just a single fist, but he does have the dock card if he wants to go water making fishing boats. I'm not too sure that will be part of his strategy. Does have the 2 war junks, really not great. If he wanted to try and push and Colonial Age, he might want to have the 2 fire junks as well, something to back him up. But he does have the full Khan in the 3rd age, and that's a very strong frigate. But the problem with the full Khan, though, is you don't want to send that big, powerful shipment if there's only like 6 or 7 boats in the water. You need to basically guess how much investment Sven's gone into the water, and that will depend, and then that will inform him of how urgent the reaction to the water is, or if he's just going to leave it and just say, okay, you've got a bit of eco, but I'm going to rely on my villages, the yaks, my strong shipments. And if the match is very passive, we could see a traditional fast fortress here from the Chinese player and then just mass in the 3rd age, or he could jump to the 4th age with the 1000 coin shipment, which he does have in his deck.
All right, nice. So you're expecting to see kind of a bit of a Chinese timing push, taking advantage of Sven's kind of eco build on the water. Edho in the chat, letting us know he appreciates it for newer viewers to know about some of the player histories, which might not be as aware as Harrison of the players' histories with their civilizations. So thank you very much, Edho. It's always nice to remind some of the newer viewers, and we definitely hope there are some newer viewers.
To be fair, in this matchup, like Lucas is the old guard and Sven is the new guard coming in on the DE wave. Sven did play in the ESOC patch, I believe. I think his name might have been slightly different, but only recently Sven started being grinding the ladder and just getting some good progress on the ladder, and actually would be more of the surprised players to reach the pro division. But now the stage is set for him to shine and show us what he's made of.
Well, he definitely wouldn't be the first player in this pro division to shock the old guard. We've seen some pretty significant new guard versus old guard results. I think especially that unbelievable match of Donati versus Kaiserklein. So we're definitely seeing some newer players coming through in the DE era, and you know, who knows if one of these newer players can come through and just spring a massive shock and take it down. I mean, it's definitely not impossible, right?
I would like to see Sven here just put those villagers into the town centre and pick this disciple off with one shot. It's 80 food, pardon me. I always get those two words confused because they both end in OOD. It always happens to me, but basically 80 food. It's a unit which upgrades into the Fortress Sage. It's worth a quick pick off, and at the moment it's always great scouting information for Lukas. I think Lukas knows that Sven's on the water. We're just going to move over here just to check for his own eyes. Looking at his line of sight, he sees a market, thinking, why is a market that close to the dock, to the water? And then finds the dock and confirms his suspicions.
So what would be the traditional response now? So he knows that his opponent's on water. I guess basically just to go for straight aggression rather than to actually directly try and tackle that water, which he's now doing, sending in the cav. I guess he figures it's unlikely that Sven's going to have much in the way of units out to defend from raids. So going straight into it to see what he can do right now.
So it looks like Lukas has sent a single military unit card in the second day. He's going to follow this up with the 700 coin in his base. He's got the market for economic upgrades and no consulate down. No military production down behind it as well. So it's just going to be the one unit, coin behind. Step Riders, they are siege units. They do have a high amount of siege considering how cheap and weak each unit is. So we have 7 Step Riders, each with 25 siege. SD, I'm going to put you under pressure here. What is 7 times by 25?
That would be 175.
Hey! That'd be harsh if you got that wrong. I'd be like, hey, look at that. Also,
that would be very embarrassing.
Very good raiding units here. One villager here from Sven outside the safety of the town centre. Defensive Tomahawks being called in from the big button, along with the all crate resources shipment. So Sven here going for a very eco FF here, the 5-il crates. Lukas going for the semi-FF, 7 step rise into coin crates, but he's got to be careful though. Tomahawk's coming from behind. Will Lukas try and pick this dock off? Would he need to kind of get out of here?
So that's an awkward. Oh, he's going to pull back. So in the end, I guess he's lost. Well, he lost half his cav there, and mission failed in terms of taking down the dock.
Yeah, now it's some really nice micro there from Sven. Did you notice how the front 2 Tomahawks there were in the melee combat mode? So they had the snare on, doing some really strong damage, 14 times by 3. Versus the Step Riders, they do have a very small range resist wherever they've run off to. I can't, although it's still here. Yeah, they have 30% range resist, low HP, but getting to hand combat melted them. But when the Step Riders were running away, Sven changed all of his Tomahawks into the ranged mode and got another volley off onto the final step, killing an additional unit. So, you know, Sven getting that micro down, picking off everything he can, going in for another pickup here.
This time he's got the Choky Nuns behind, which are going to try and pick off the Tomahawk. So looks like, well, the dock's been repaired in the meantime, so he repaired that dock really, really quickly.
So
which,
So this is interesting from Lukas. Lukas sent 8 Chukanus as card number 2, which has caught me off guard a little bit. Look at his macro though. He's got 1,800 food, 900 coin. We'll throw down that wander to the Fortress Age afterwards, but would have over-gathered 700 food to get that age up down, and maybe thinking to keeping that food as investments to go to the 4th age. That might make sense at this point, but hasn't sent any coin to get the age up here. Chukanus though putting pressure on the Warhawk, which has gone down from the age up Travois from Sven. There's no villagers building it, but it does get built very quickly. 2 Warhuts as stable here from Sven. Got tempo. No trading post. The dock is just about to go down. Did get 1 canoe out.
I mean, that his attempts at taking down that dock have come at, you know, pretty significant cost at this point, but it looks like he's going to finally succeed. in the meantime, the Chokunus, I mean, they're going to do a good job in that position, aren't they? They're picking off units, but Cav are going to come around and probably take care of them now.
Yeah, there's 5 musket riders here, which they're just going to try and catch those step riders, try and use the dragoons to counter the cavalry, and let the buildings deal with these very, I guess, weak Chukanus, but they do trade off colonial age units with some fortress age skirmishers. So all in all, I think that's a trade Lucas has been pretty happy with. Aging up behind though, aging up with the tower, so we'll be going for an extra resources in the next stage, maybe saving the Confucian Academy for the 4th age up behind this. Looking at his resources, a lot of food, a lot of coin. Constant coming down, still no military academy just yet. Doesn't mean he's committing to the fast industrial, but with all these cows on the village starting to get really fat now, I think there's enough resources in base to jump to the industrial age.
Well, there's some talk in the chat about this being the first time a few people have seen Lucas apparently not FI with China, but it looks like he is essentially all but FIing with China in the end anyway, so I guess that premonition's not come true. It's like looks all but certain for an FI here, right? I mean, that's what...
Well, he's got Fucon card number 1, which you can see at the moment there's only, what is it, 1, 2, 5 fishing boats though. So this is what we're talking about. The blinds getting onto the water, not knowing how many fishing boats there are. Lucas is going to be hoping for at least 10 fishing boats probably on the water, or realistically around 7 or 8. But if he only sees 5, that's a big shipment to chuck onto the water. He's actually abandoned that idea and gone for the skirmishers, mainly because Sven's starting to push in out of units, and Lucas, he's thrown down a military academy with 4 villagers at the back. Maybe he's abandoned this idea, go industrial, and going to try and invest his resources now to defend.
So that's quite interesting. I mean, in a sense, scouting the dock kind of worked against Lucas because it made it look very, very boomy from Sven. But I mean, it's not really conspired that way in the end, right? I mean, he's basically stopped overly aggressively building on water, gone straight into military units, and now I think Lucas was probably a bit unprepared and expecting most of this match to kind of turn into a kind of a more of a late game economic build, which just isn't happening.
Lucas is in a little bit of trouble at the moment. He's only got 3 Changdaos out on the field. Okay, allying with the British consulate, likely to get a batch of British musketeers on the field very soon. Could go intervention here if he wants to stay in, but there's 11 disciplined Kanya horseman cavalry here from Sven, and if you went in right now, would get a very, very good trade. Strong skirmishers here, do stronger than the Chinese arquebusiers, put some pressure on the villagers, get a bit of our time. Look at this timing, all the yaks are fattened. This is when Lucas really wants to be gathering the yaks, just pumping out continuous batches of units, but Sven's coming in for the timing. Doesn't matter if you got all these yaks, if they're not being eaten, they're just resources you can't use.
Yeah, Sven in the meantime is a small macro error in that he was housed, but now he's okay. No, yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, what are Lucas's options to try and repel this at this point? I mean, he looks in a bit of trouble. What options does he have available to try and repel this attack?
Well, he's got a card available. Can't call Manchu. Doesn't really want to call the Fukan. 1,000 coins just there tempting him. He's got all this food, and he's thinking, if I do send the 1,000 coin, I can jump up. He's gone back for the Fukan behind this. I think he's thinking, if I can just survive, if I'm not feeling under pressure here, I can just send this ship and try and put economic pressure into my opponents. And, you know, Lucas is balancing survivability here and getting and raising his opponent. But, ooh, Sven popping top side here. Does he see it? He doesn't see anything just yet, but we'll see the village. And once he sees the village, he'll see all the villagers. And this is will force a reaction here from Lucas. And I bet he's going to cancel that Fulcan.
But he's not got time, right? These villagers are all going down. He's not got any way time to get across there. That village is going down immediately. And how many villagers are inside that? That's going to be...
8 villagers. And that's a huge amount. I'd rather lose 5 fishing boats on the water than 8 villagers on the land. He's going to move the villagers topside, try and get them out. But this forces the actual fight from Lucas. Lucas is fighting outside his base. He does have 6 redcoat musketeers on the floor. No intervention shipments because he went for the full Khan on the water, which is not actually using just yet. Okay, we'll push it across. Obviously focusing on bigger, more important things. But the villagers all but survive. Only 1 going down there.
I'm not even sure. Did he even lose 1? Yeah, he lost just 1 villager. Wow, that was pretty impressive to get away with. He looked like significantly more trouble there.
Yeah. what Sen really wants to do, he wants to scout this. He's now being attacked, and it sounds weird. You don't want to be attacked by a warship, but being attacked now, Sven must know he's invested a full car, and he's thinking, right, that's not intervention, that's not 5 meteors, that's not 12 Changdao. I'm going to force, because I've got a bigger army. He's actually going to take this fight now. He's going to push in his total army, 16 Canyons. We have 13 Musket Riders here. They blend in. You don't know who's who behind the 17 Forest Prowlers. But there's a distinct lack of anti-cav here from Lucas. He does have the red coats, but not many Changdaos behind. Can I find one? Oh, there's 8 Changdaos on the floor, on the field, but there's a couple reinforcing from behind, looks like. But so far, the cavalry's gone straight in onto the Canyon's muskets. The Canyon horses are training very, very well versus meteors and flails. Not the greatest units versus cavalry in hand combat, and so far the Haudenosaunee army is getting very well behind the tower. You don't really see this, but you see all the Canyons on top of the arquebusier mass. The skirmisher mass from Lucas is gone. Sven's crushing this fight. He has the war dance as well. How many people are dancing? 9 villagers dancing, 10% bonus on attack behind this. More Changdaos come out. Was that the Changdao shipment there from Lucas? I'm feeling it was. Yes, it was the Changdao shipment here, but there's still a couple of skirmishes here from Sven. Not too many, though. Only 7, and now it's time for Sven to pull out. All in all, I would say it's a good fight for Haudenosaunee, but there was no real economic damage done behind it.
Yeah, I mean, that fight halfway through, and Lucas looked in huge trouble and just somehow managed to time that to get away with it. So that's, wow, that looked like it could have been a defining moment, but I mean, if you look at the scores now, it kind of seems like parity again. I mean, who would you like to be at this point in the game right now if you could choose?
Well, Lucas does have 35 villagers, the 4 villagers from the Summer Palace equivalent eco. Consulate bonus is always nice. About the 7 villagers from the Porcelain Towers, you got them on coin at the moment, so basically about 45 Vill economy, maybe 47, around that number. Stronger upgrades than what Haudenosaunee can get from the market as well. That's worth considering. Meanwhile, if we look at Sven's eco, he went water. He's not on the water anymore. The Fulkan's cleaned all that up. 38 villagers on the land. No steel traps because he's playing as a native civilization. And his card order was unit shipment, and unit shipment. No upgrades. So Sven's gone through his... I can still hear the Chinese home city. Or was that outside my house? No, it's the Chinese home city. I'm probably going crazy. It might be outside my house. We do have thunderstorms soon. But I looked into the... I was in the Chinese home city and you see the thunder. I was back into the game because I could still hear that sound effect. Yeah, no, you can. That's annoying, that is. Yeah, no, I'm not going crazy, am I?
Whether or not you're going crazy is in the general sense, I can't answer. But I do believe you can hear the thunder for now in the game. That much I believe. But yeah, I mean, Lucas has done a great job here, right? He's repelled the attack, and I mean, generally speaking, I think at every level of the game, the player that manages to repel the all-in is going to be in a commanding position afterwards, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think that the problem that Sven had was Lucas had all those yaks and had such a strong opening H1, getting all those livestock under control. But so many batches of units have been trained from the War Academy. Each cavalry batch is about 500 food apart, and the Porcelain Tower's been set on coin. Really, really strong eco, squeezing the most out of the economic he can get. So he's just been spamming units continuously. And if this was not a livestock map, I think Sven just overmasses and overwhelms and overpowers the Chinese opponent. He took a really great fight, but the livestock's keeping Lucas in the game now, and military populations at the moment quite even. Lucas is heading back. He's on the run.
And now, I mean, that composition-wise, I mean, it looks close. They're both kind of doing that little dance, not knowing. I guess neither player really knows if they want to be taking this or not. Well, Sven's deciding now to just to go for it. I guess he feels the window might be closing if he doesn't take the fight soon.
He's got a couple of villages he can pick off. He doesn't have to go in deep. If you pick off a few vills and retreat, that's a positive win. Baiting the cavalry once again here from Lucas. This time they have their double-faced armor, so extra HP and range resist. So the musket riders are doing considerably less damage versus his cavalry. The iron flails doing massive damage versus skirmishers. The meteor hammers are pinning them down from a safe distance to keep them snared, and the rest of the infantry is just closing in. All this time, where's that Chinese explorer? He's not right in the front of my face, is he? He's dead over here. Almost died only recently, so Chinese monk away from the fight, but gets a huge mass of musket riders still away. The kiting's gone very well. He's done what Sven's done really well here, he's kept the skirmishers front line. It's okay if the cavalry attack his skirmishers because he's got all his big dragoon units behind to keep them safe or pick off the cavalry units. If Sven was thinking, oh, my skirmishers are tagged, I need to put my musket rising head ahead of the skirmishers, the cav just change their target, and all the arquebusiers from China just go, oh, dragoons for me to shoot, lovely. And then if you lose your dragoons, you basically lose the game in most kind of skirm-goon wars. But Sven has his massive musket riders still safe and can just focus his production into double batches of skirmishers. Going for Woodland Dwellers here, the upgrade here from the house, and that's going to grant him 500 wood on the floor for him to pick up. I think if he waited another 2 minutes, he could have got 1,000 wood from that shipment.
No, it's a bit of an unforced error if so, but I mean, Sven looks to have done a great job considering he lost he got his whole mass basically cleaned up in Lucas's around Lucas's town center, and kind of he's remassed really, really well, and definitely, I mean, the game, I mean, the score tells the story, doesn't it? 400 gap, 18 minutes into the game, and I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, I find it pretty hard to call a winner from here.
No, I mean, I'm looking back at Lucas. He's gone through all that livestock. He's out in the front with his villagers. Obviously, they don't have their great coats because he's playing as the Chinese civilization, but could get Eastern medicine. But the skirmisher mass here from Sven is looking quite small. He's got so many musket riders, which is very nice. But I'd really want to see either a mix or an addition of Kanya horses to round out the composition. We do see a couple Kanyas coming out here from Sven, or a real doubling down on the production of skirmishers. He's only got these 13 skirmishers, 3 Kanyas, and sent the 5 elite Matlet shipment, which it would be nice to tank the arquebusiers, but there's so much melee damage here in this Chinese army that the Matlets are just not the right shipment for this moment. He may have thought he could have used that in a real nice way to put pressure on maybe a Chinese fast industrial take down buildings, but unfortunately, I don't think the Matlets will contribute too much to the next fight if there is a big clash coming up. You see, Sven wants to, though, because he knows he's down Nika. He's going to keep prodding, and he wants to try and put as much pressure on the hunt as possible. And it's just up to Lucas to, well, he's got so much cav here, and once Lucas pulls the trigger to snare, he's got to commit, because otherwise he's going to lose his entire cavalry to the musket rise if he doesn't fully commit.
Yeah, I mean, I saw there the ship getting some damage on, so I mean, Lucas chosen a really good part of the map to have the fight in definitely a favourable part of the map for him.
Well, it's just protecting his eco at the same time. Like Sven's pushing forward with elite Matlers, but that's the only thing he can really do because they somewhat resist arquebusiers. But that's single batch of arquebusier volley there from Lucas has picked off half an elite Matlet. This is your one unit to tank all that skirmisher fire, and he's already lost 10% of the HP of those 5 units. So it's Sven's thinking he's still dancing for attack at the moment with 5 villagers. Maybe he's just getting that set up before he goes in. But otherwise, these villagers are at the moment not contributing to the Haudenosaunee economy.
Yeah, lots of disagreements I see in chat about who's favoured at this point. I see Hazza saying he'd prefer to be Iro actually in this situation, interestingly enough. A bit of a score gap now opening for the first time. I mean, China pulling ahead for 3,000 points. It had been basically tied for the whole. Oh,
there we
minutes,
go.
but...
This is what I was hoping to see: a switch into hand cavalry, 6 Kanyas, and the 5 veteran cuirassiers. He doesn't need many skirmishers here because he's going to basically hedge his bets on hand cavalry and dragoon style units. So he's going to move in at the moment. But unfortunately for Sven, there's a ship here which can garrison units. So if Lucas is feeling a little too hot under the collar, he can just garrison into the boat and get away. Sven moving topside, picking off some units being reinforced from the War Academy, but it's actually baiting Lucas into response here, going topside, and actually a little bit too far away from the full car for my liking. The Zebmus come in, the Cuirassiers and Kanyas on top of the army behind this. Musket Riders are doing their best to fire on targets. I think Musket Riders are doing some pretty decent damage to the Iron Flares, but occasionally they do attack the Changdaos instead, and this is just, this is a cleanup here from China. The Changdaos just ripping through the Dragoon-style units while the Dragoons can't focus down the right cavalry at the time, and behind this there's only 9 Frowers doing damage. That's a cleanup, and the GG is called.
Wow. Wow, I mean, that's pretty special having box seats to a Harrison big battle commentary, and I mean, that was just what looked pretty close the whole game. I mean, that just turned in like in 1 minute. I mean, it was pretty hard to call it at the 19-minute mark, and at 21, it's done.
Abra saying a big F in the chat there, and I feel that was. Xerxes asking, did Ira really have to force the fight there? And we're going to do the favourite thing I like to do, and the favourite thing you like to do is check the all resources from both players. And what do you think it will be the all resources graph looking like? I know you like to get this one always wrong.
Give me a second. Right, hold on. Right, let me think. Well, all right, I'm going to give China like a 1,500 point finishing lead. That's my guess.
1,500 China lead. I don't think you'd be too far wrong. It's going to be like about 4,000, I reckon. 26 to 33, so about 6,000 resources there, maybe a bit more. But yeah, you're getting there, on the ideas.
Getting there. You see, it was like that 12-minute mark where it just. I mean, that was basically as you were calling it during the game that Iro had that window where it had to win the game after those unit shipments, and then from that 13-minute mark, I mean, the Chinese eco just completely took off. I mean, basically, SVEN had to completely cripple Lukas at that 12-minute mark, or it was GG, right?
Yeah, let's look at the food total. This is the point when Lukas starts to eat all his yaks, and just that food count just spikes up so considerably, essentially just doubling the rate of income, and that just means continuous batches of units being trained throughout the rest of the game. The military population, okay, that first fight, I guess it was relatively even. Lukas having a pretty decent trade in the end. It looked to be that Lukas didn't really have much follow-up, but actually it was SVEN having to back out there with a couple of skirmishers and a few musket riders. But just the remass from SVEN was initially better, still sending unit shipments while Lukas was gathering those yaks, still training behind it, but just later on, just batch, boom, 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 just continuous batches. Also upgrades as well. Lukas was sending cards like double-faced armor, where SVEN was just continuously sending military shipment one after the other.
Wow. So, a game 1 win for the old guard in Lukas. I think many people would have had, I guess, Lukas as the favorite for the game. So he gets off to a strong start with the Chinese victory. Just who counterpicked in this game? Oh no, they civ danced. Sorry, it was G1.
Yeah, game 1 is open pick. Yeah. But then if it's open pick on Manchuria, I think Lukas is going to play China, whatever the matchup. This is a great Chinese map for the aforementioned reasons of the trading post, the yaks, and yeah, I think Lukas was happy with that. Hey, let's crack on into game number 2.
This is the best of 5, right? Yeah.
Always the best of 5. Let's do it. So what will we see here on game number 2? We see both players spawning in on the map. Colorado. Lukas now playing as the German civilization spawning into the west of the map in the colour blue. SVEN playing as the Incan civilization spawning to the east of the map in the colour red. SD, are you much of an Incan player?
I'm not much of an Incan player. I think as a lot of European Civ players, I mean, it's always a very tricky matchup coming up against a good Incan player. So very, very interested to see how it plays out on this map. So, I mean, of course, we've had Lukas picking first, having won the last game. I mean, how do you like SVEN's choice of Inca as a counter-civ to Germany?
I don't actually know enough about Incan matchups, but I'm wanting to guess not liking it at all. I think of all other civs you could pick, I'm not too sure Inca is going to be the strongest one. I just have a feeling that if Lukas can get up to the Fortress Age relatively intact, Cav Combat, Uhlans are just going to crush whatever SVEN puts out. Lukas could be thinking maybe open up Jaegers. If he opens up Jaegers, SVEN will need a lot of Chimus to overcome that. Every other unit basically gets picked off and gets killed. So I'm wanting to see a little bit of aggression here from SVEN. There's 2 War Hut Age up right in the middle of the map, and maybe coming out from a Tambo Travois if he drops the Age 1 training post on this forward TP. But knowing SVEN, his slightly economic playstyle, I did see him chopping some coin already, or mining some coin, pardon me. He's going to go for the early 4 vills and go for the more standard villager eco opening as the Incan player.
All right, so interesting. I mean, again, in terms of, I mean, do we know anything about these player histories playing these civs? I think it's always, people are always interested to kind of know if we typically see these guys playing civs, or they've been forced into them as counter picks? I mean, have you seen much of Sven's Inca or Lucas's Germany?
Short answer is absolutely no for both. I'm sure Lucas has played some German before, but if it's not his main civilization, I'm expecting some traditional German play, which will be either a fast FF, semi-FF, delayed semi-FF with many patches of Uhlans. I'm not expecting a tower rush here or Dop Uhlan colonial play. It is on the cards. It is a possibility. So we'll have to see how Lucas goes in the transition, how much wood he chops, where his settler wagons end up, if he's going to build forward mid map or just build at home. Is it stable at home? Good time to check his deck. Aggro. Okay, we've got our answer ready for us already. Now, you need to remember, players who open each other player's deck will not see this text here, so Sven will not know this is called his aggro deck. But is this aggro second age or aggro third age? If it's a second age deck, I'd actually prefer to I feel that just one of these cards somewhere along here could be taken out for a 2 settler wagon, because that'd be very nice just to kind of top up his economy if he plays H2, and that's one of the advantages German have in the second age where other civs don't have, and that's 2 villager shipments.
Well, that's one of the difficulties playing against Germany, isn't it? That deck, I mean, could easily be an H2 agenda or an H3 agenda. Very, very hard to tell. I see in the chat, Push the Wood saying he thinks this is going to be a German tower rush, interestingly, which is, I think, what you specifically thought it won't be. So we're going to see if.
Well, I mean, okay, that was before I opened up a German deck saying aggro. And if you look at Sven's German Incan deck, it just says normal. So maybe Sven will show us what a normal Incan play is, or what his take on normal Incan play. For example, Kinesi's take on normal Incan play is a 6 town centre defensive play behind walls and strongholds, which I'm sure lots of people either really like to see or really don't like to see. Do you like this whole new turtle meta we've stumbled across recently?
I don't. I think I'm nostalgic for when the game was a bit more aggressive and attacking, and I don't really necessarily like that. I'm going to say it, that cowardice is rewarded. So I mean, I like players being rewarded for aggressive attacking builds, and I don't like that the average game length has, I feel, been extended over the years. That's my own opinion. I don't know if many share it, but just my own view.
So Lucas is going back to build a trading post at home. He does have 1 nuke curve moving forward. A trading post at home this early. Well, he's not going to be tower rushing, because you'd rather be pushing your settler wagon forward at this point and then dropping the outpost and essentially skipping the trading post, because you need to fund the outpost, you need to fund the barracks. Okay, he's pushing 1 settler wagon now, so he's going to try and spend quite a bit of that early 400 wood on maybe the 2 production buildings, but he's not going to be in the base that early, because he's got to move forward, build the outpost. I think that first shipment will arrive before that outpost is even completed, and then the barracks will come down on the 400 wood, and yeah, it won't be a very fast 8 crossbow first shipments out of the tower straight into the base. We'll have to see what his first card will be. Outposts coming down. Here come the 8 bows, and that's a race between the outposts and the crossbows. Am I wrong?
Go on then. Call it now. Who wins the race, Harrison? Call it right now.
I'm wrong. The outpost is getting up first. Yeah, once again, I get something completely wrong, but I just had a feeling it wasn't going to work. Okay, this is nice. This is okay from Sven. He's got mobile building travois. As soon as he sees an outpost, he can just turn around, nope out of it, and go back to his town centre. But if he does that, he needs to go right underneath his town centre, because crossbows will pick off the builder travois in 1 volley, and apart from that, we'll do some good siege. Does see the explorers. He's still going to go forwards. He's going to go back. Okay, 1 build travois on low HP from the melee and the outpost. 1 warhut being dropped down. He needs to go drop it down. Will he get in? He does get in.
Wow, it was down to that very low HP.
It's the Uhlans and crossbow siege here. The Incan war chief will have to basically give himself up just to try and protect this. German explorer gets him some siege damage down. Just needs to fight Sven. Just need to try and delay and do whatever. And first card from Sven on the next. He's just sent 600 wood as his. I think that's his.
One of these goes down, right? The one on the left goes down. Oh, it's close, but it's not got much health left. I mean, it's going to go down very, very shortly, and that's a very painful early loss to be down to 1 war hut already. I mean, that's all but gone. Oh, he manages just to pop out the plume spearman on top of them. Has he just about saved that war hut? How much HP does it even have left? Look at that. You can barely even see it in the bar. That's
I'm just
save.
checking. It looks like Sven is microing his second war hut as well. The closest target would be the Explorer. Okay, it's only just gone onto it now because after one crossbow died. But I think Sven's working his hardest to try and pick off the units he needs to kill. Out come the pikeman with only a sliver of HP. He wants to try and focus on the pikeman, but one war hut goes down. We'll get a full batch here, but he's only got 2 spearmen remaining, and he's opening with bowman. Chimu's shipment will come out, but the bowman come out. Actually, this could be. Oh no, I still feel Germany here.
I mean, the Cavs going to get on top of those bowmen, and I guess Germany can also afford to trade right now. But there's only one war hut producing. Oh,
what did you say?
I don't even know, just words.
I swear I heard a variation of Bowman, which wasn't Bowman, but might have included an L somewhere in there.
I don't even know what that means. Either way, it looks at this stage. I mean, this has been. Can we call this basically a disastrous opening for Inca? As soon as that war hut goes down.
No, not at all. Okay, another war hut being thrown down. Quite offensive here behind us, but do recall he has sent wood shipments to open up. He's got lots of catches behind this. His food eco is looking very strong at the moment. About 800 food resources per minute. Compares to Lucas, not even 350. Chopping a lot of wood behind this. He does have gang sauce, so does have a bit of eco. He went into steel traps as well, so he has invested resources into economy. And if Lucas put more into the military, just could have won that fight that little bit harder, which then could have snowballed into putting pressure on the war hut. Sven is nice and secure in this game for the time being. He's going to. Coin goes forward.
Oh, he sent the coin. The coin.
It won't be too bad. That coin will get picked up by the settler wagons. Lucas going into 3 settler wagons after 8 crossbows. If that was 3 dops instead of the 3 settler wagons, he does have in his deck. Could have put pressure. I know he went for a big batch of pikemen, but if he somehow was able to pull the villagers from the wood onto the much faster gathering coin source and get 3 doppels out instead of the 5 pikes, time that with the 3 doppels from that shipment, I think that second war hut could have gone down. But for the time being, Sven, more importantly, doesn't deny the coin, but scouts the coin. I think now Sven knows, oh, hang on a minute, I'm expecting either an agent behind this or a transition to coin units, which is the Ulan or the Doppelsonder. And unfortunately, pikemen do very well versus one, rather poor versus the other, and the same thing for the bowman.
So, yeah, I mean, denying that coin, but not very much of it. The settler wagon's popping out, going to probably be able to quickly soak up the remaining coins. So no harm done with the forward shipment. And we've basically some bow-on-bow action here. Some Chimus would probably be, well,
nice little raid there from Lucas, trying to be as much annoying as possible. That's not even grammatically correct, but oh well, with the 2 Ulans, forcing the 3 plumed spearmen back. If Lucas was actually scouting that and realised how many ran away from that previous engagement, he might think there's a bit of an opening here for his Ulans to get on. But that's 1 plumed spearman standing guard by the war hut. 1 managed to get away from that outpost. And these 3 were trained from a different batch. So, yeah, 4 spearmen trained from that second batch. Forces back 1 Ulan. But, yeah, Dop Ulan is going to be quite tough for the Incan player to counter here. Really tough.
I mean, what should he be training in your opinion right now? I mean, what's his best chance at countering this? If he can see the whole map and he knows what his opponent's doing, what's he training right now? What's his option?
Ideally, he wants to try and wall, just to give some sort of like buffer space for the war huts. Maybe get a little bit of a pocket. I know some players recently have been experimenting with a bit of kind of a pocket defense where you wall up and you've got this nice little area which is a safe zone from all melee units. And for this competition which Lucas is going for, he does have a couple of crossbows, but they're not great versus archers, especially the path he's gone really far forwards, but actually not too bad of a place because it's quite tucked up between the silver mines. But just look at the Doppers and the Ulans here. Sven, he's trained bowmans behind, he's getting hunting dogs, which is not too bad. He's going for a big bat to the Chimu, but his transition to Chimu runners here is hedging his bets, but he can focus down all his Doppelsonders. I don't think he can.
Yeah, this looks I think we can say this looks a little bit ominous right now. There are definitely not enough jungle bowmen right there, and even so, the Cavs are about to get on top
yeah,
of
the
them.
pathing. This is talking about a couple of wars here would be even stronger, but the Ulans and Dops get past the war huts here,
Oh,
and
no.
as soon as the pikemen go down, the Ulans onto the bows and the Dops onto the Chimus. This is going to be a tough fight here for Sven, but most of the Ulans have gone down, so the bows are relatively safe. The Chimus are on to the crossbows. The Dops have to stay around, and oh my god, the Dops are gone. I'm eating my own words once again. It seems like the entire German army is like evaporated, and Bowman's will do pretty well versus remaining units here. The 3 Dops is pretty clutch, but he's microing it down very well. Multipliers and the poison damage, picking off the Doppelsunder.
Yeah, but now we've still got 3 Ulans left and absolutely no anti-cav left whatsoever to speak of at this point. So they're just
Big
gonna
batch
go
of
down to
Chimus,
3.
big batch of Chimus. 1 Doppelsunder will get picked off here by the outpost fire. 2 Ulans won't be enough to save this, and the crossbow mass itself will go down behind this. Oh, I'd hate to see what the eco difference between 2 players is, but I'm thinking Germany's slightly ahead on the villager population, which I don't think I can see behind us, but you know, near a full catcher boom, 13 catcher houses, so strong eco with the Chincha as well. Sven just needs to hang on. He needs to hang on for his dear life. Another batch of Chimus. Bowman behind us. Here come 5 Doppels. Yeah. He just needs to focus on the Doppels with everything he's got. A big batch of 5 coming out, but here comes the Ulans. So it's just that Dop-Ulan combination, and Chimu Bow won't be the right units here to deal with it. Well, he flat out needs bows.
Maybe he can pick off a couple of cav on the outside here, so at least one goes down pretty cheap.
Ideally, Sven kind of needs to focus down the Ulans with his bowman first. Once the Ulans go down, then the bows are relatively safe. Another big batch of Ulans from behind. Was that a shipment or another batch of 5 being trained? I think that's the 5 shipment. He's got another big batch of 5 here. And this is the rare moments where the 5 Ulan shipment actually puts in work, because with unstable, you can manage to get out 10 Ulans in a very short amount of time. 5 from the shipment, 5 from being trained. And this little miniature cav switch here from Lukas is going to overwhelm the Chimu mass. Yeah, the Doppels go into the Chimus and they just melt like a hot knife through butter. A couple of Ulans clean up the remaining bone mass. Another Warhut's been dropped behind us, but with
that Warhut's not going to go up.
No, it's not. It's only 2 villagers on it. It's going to go down very quickly. And German, with its strong military shipments, once again sending the right shipment at the right time behind us and putting pressure. Bows do come out, but with no melee units to defend them, these jungle bowmen are not long for this world.
I mean, at this point, I think it's fair to say there's not much way back in right now. And the cav, I mean, really nice use of unit composition there from Lukas, I think. I mean, definitely getting his composition spot on. The cav's done some serious work, and I mean, I don't even know what. He's not even got any military production buildings left at this point, Sven. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
All right.
And the GG is called there. I really enjoyed that. And that was a good game from Lukas. And I think what happened there was Sven had an idea. Had the idea that a in-base stable was coming down from Lukas, so he was going to take mid-map control of the double war hut, line of sight across the middle, forcing the cavalry to go all onto the top side, or to the bottom side. Once he scouted what's happened, it's a little too late for him, unfortunately. I think he tried to push that Explorer before the war hut, but the Explorer was too busy, maybe taking an in-base treasure, but the scouting there was a little slow on Sven's side, and that forced those 2 war huts, managed to get him down, but by the time that first war hut was constructed, the crossbows managed to siege 1,400 hit points from the building, and that was really the game changer. Sven, though, did transition to a full defense, and I thought he played that really well, nearly got away with it. A little bit of walling would have delayed that big military push by 5 seconds, then that means those 10 Chimus from that double pop of the war hut gets onto the backline crossbows. Those 5 seconds, relatively earlier, causing more damage, and that could have been a bigger cleanup for Inca. Like that big fight there was a relatively even trade, but little things here, these minor details, define the outcomes of the pro games.
Yeah, a couple of very, very controlled performances from Lukas there. Definitely looks in good form. I mean, that game in particular, I don't think, Lukas would have...
Yeah, this fight was talking about it. Like, if the 10 Chimus came out even earlier here from Sven, that cleanup would have been even harder, but it was just a remass behind, and the lack of production available to Sven, that was tough. Like, wow, that is a big drop. But you need to remember, Ulans, they are 2 population, but realistically, they represent about 1.5 population worth of damage output.
Did Lukas drop to 0 units there? He literally...
Yeah, very, very briefly. But it might just be a continuation error from the graph. So basically, a very low amount of mids, very briefly. Population villages absolutely fine, nothing wrong there. I'm just looking at the all resources gathered. Expecting Sven to be taken off. He does have a strong eco towards the end, but unfortunately, just the dot land combination there from Lucas at the end was too much for the Incan player to deal with. Right. Game number 3 coming up. This is going to be match point here for Lucas. Lucas needs to do all his best to get in. Oh, well, Lucas needs to do his best to close up the series. That's just, that's just an obvious statement of fact. But Sven needs to hope for a miracle here to pull out the 3-game reverse sweep. I'm sure he's saving his best civ to last. Maybe he can still play Inca. He can still play the first civ. That was Haudenosaunee again. Just checking my Discord. What does Mr. Brownboy? Oh, he's saying that he's outside sitting in the sun enjoying life. Brownboy, this is where the life is at. This is where the cool action is. And that is on the ESOC TV channel. And the EGC channel for disclaimers.
No need for disclaimers here. We're just enjoying the action wherever it is.
Essentially, Age of Empires 3 tournament action. Let's get into the third game between Lucas and Sven. And we're spawning here on Alaska. Aztecs versus the Dutch. Sven playing as the Dutch, spawning into the southwestern map in the colour blue. And Luke... No. Have I got my F on? No, I'm fine. I just wanted to check if I've had my friend of foe colours. I've messed out badly. In the southwestern map, in the colour blue, it's actually Lucas playing as the Aztecs. Sven's playing as the Dutch, spawning to the northeast, playing in the colour red. Opening up with a market here. Unless he saw... Okay, he's got 30 coin. I don't know. I'm not a fan. I know I had a little video saying about the early market for Dutch here, but I'm not a fan of the early Dutch market anymore. In comparison to, let's say, a 14 Vil, 130 XP. This should get his first shipment very, very early behind this. Other treasures nearby for him. 2 stray sheep won't be useful. 80 coin and 90 wood. Yeah, just imagine if Sven went this way to find the early 80 coin. That would have been such a game-changing age 1 for him.
I think a lot of people in the audience are going to enjoy seeing Aztec. We don't see much of Aztec in this global championship. I'm going to guess it's probably maybe the or among the least picked civs. So definitely good to see some nice civ variety here. Sven's picked second here, of course, having lost the previous game. Is the Dutch a typical counter to Aztec? How do you like his decision making here?
Not a lot, really. I think Aztec do all right in this matchup. It's not the easiest from the Aztec. It's still Dutch favoured, as long as Sven gets to call in the colonial militia shipments, survival land. I like the name of the deck because that's exactly how he needs to play this. He basically needs to survive, and he'll be fine in the long run. Colonial Militia, 1-shot in Puma Spearman and Mace Holton. The Coyotes are still 2-shot. But Lucas, it's just interesting because, Sven was able to counterpick, but he's picked the Dutch here, which is one of the slightly better matchups from the Aztec side. I know his other main civilization is the Japanese, which, if Lucas was aware of, the Aztec first pick here was a very smart choice because the Aztec first pick here really denies the ability for him to go and play as the Japanese. So it looks like Sven going for another civ he's maybe not the greatest with. Yeah. Going for the 15 Vil age up here, hunting dogs. I think he should be able to get an idless age up behind this. Looking at his age 1 herd-in being pretty good. And of course, those 3 villagers from that first shipment coming in very, very early. And that means extra resources in the first stage for Sven.
I like that gamesmanship, right? That if Lucas knows now he's got 3 opportunities to win the match, no matter what, right? If he doesn't win it here, he's gonna have another chance. If he doesn't win that, he's gonna have another chance. So if you're gonna pick a more of an outside civ choice, this is definitely the game to do it, right? When you've got the flexibility to, he's got 2 chances to counterpick if he has to going forward. So may as well get the more difficult option out the way now.
Oh, this is interesting from Sven. Look at this. Have your attention, please. 3 villagers on the wood. He wants to get to that 50 wood number. But he's got 7 villagers here mining coin. Why would you do that if you want a bank? Well, he wants to buy the wood for the bank. It's slightly more efficient for villagers on the coin to buy the wood to get your 350 that way. Also, once you have your 350 wood from the 50 chopping and the 300 being bought, your villagers are still here actually mining the coin mine afterwards. So there's slightly less walking time than there would be behind this. So he's going to stop chopping out 150. He's going to go straight into the coin mine. You really do need you only need like 4 villagers on the food if you're going to do it this way. And it's really awkward once you get to that 350 food. You're a bit like, well, what do I do with the rest of these villagers? Do I push them all onto the coin mine or just kind of accept the slight overgathering of the food here? So yeah, maybe a little bit of something to think about. He's only 60 gold away, so it won't be too bad. That bank will come down about probably 4 minutes at this rate, and I think he may just miss the bank being dropped before the age 1, which in this case doesn't fully matter because of the extra 130 XP treasure in the first stage. He's got a shipment ready to go regardless.
So, I mean, as the early game is panning out, there we go, we're seeing it. Like, I mean, the aggression's going to be Aztec here, isn't it? I mean, that we know, of course, that Lucas... Well, I guess it's a bit of a... I mean, it's been a bit of a theme. Well, I suppose in game 1, Lucas took the role as the more defensive player, and now in both games 2 or 3, Lucas is fulfilling the role of the aggressor. Definitely going to be the aggressor here, and I guess it's one of these games where if Sven playing the Dutch can hold on, you know, past that 12 or 13 minute game, the longer it goes on, the greater the chance the Dutch player is going to win the game. So I think we're fair to say we're going to see the bulk of the action start taking place very, very soon, around that kind of 7 or 8 minute mark, whether Aztecs can get enough aggression on to really interrupt that Dutch economy.
Well, unfortunately, he went for the 3 warrior priests first, so your passionate speech about Aztec aggression, taking the charge to the enemy, may be somewhat delayed. 3 warrior priests into 700 wood at home. I was slightly being tantalized there by Lucas, standing next to nuclear settlements. Units not very great. They're not great versus other units, but they're very strong at tanking and resisting building fire and sieging buildings down, which is exactly the type of unit you want if you're facing colonial militia town centre, although they still may just be 2 shots. I know that they are 3 shots killed from a regular town centre, and maybe Nuka here can actually force the colonial militia. Yeah, you see these Nukas, 200 HP, they survive 3 regular town centres shots, but they do die down to 2 colonial militia.
Yeah, European players or Eurociv players very jealous of watching the Explorers take down 3 Grizzlies with no problems, but one of the advantages of the native civs, of course, which I guess they need the advantages they can get, often struggling and not pick very much. A raid coming in now.
This is awkward because the barracks will go up. I think Lucas will try and deny the barracks, but the barracks are gone. But he sees a bank and this is awkward. Building a bank behind trees, away from the town centre. He managed to get all the villagers in, but that bank is denied. And if actually Lucas turns on the bank, about 200 have been invested. The bank wagon has 500 HP because the latest batch, if it does go in, I don't think the coaters actually get sieges because the bank wagon builds very fast. It was very close. But actually,
more coaters coming in from behind as well.
Oh, but these civils getting actually path blocked by the bank, but they all get in. This back bank is the target Lucas needs to go for. A lot of resources being built into it, actually being built by villagers behind. Depends on whether Lucas has got his graphics on, but you can see the villagers. The bank goes up, and Sven saves himself there.
Or at least one more village. Oh, and the Ottoman slingers behind as well. Another villager's going to go down.
Yeah, I think Sven's happy to take that trade though, because if that bank goes down, that is brutally bad. It's all the experience going down. Probably would have been about 140 experience due to the invested resources into that wagon. Losing, well, I think he would get refunded about 150 food, 150 wood at max, and that would really slow him down behind this. He's shipping the 3 hussars behind this. If I was Sven though, probably just cancel that and go into colonial militia. That is the card to send. I know we have a lot of talk about it, but 3 hussars, 3 pikes won't be enough versus Entente Slingers, Coyotes. The Minutemen call is being called now, but slightly late. The pikemen have already gone down behind us. The hussars are not snaring. He's brought to the Explorer, but he's getting path blocked for the hussars. The hussars need to get onto the units now and snare and let the Minutemen from behind rain fire from their muskets.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess it looks like this Aztec pressure's paying off. Harrison, of course, a famous Dutch expert, so if he says colonial militia, we tend to
he has got the nuclear clubman. He's just coming with nuclear coming behind this. This must force the Colonial Militia button from Sven, because it's not often you see Aztec players going into native warriors on the side, and these units are very good at resisting regular town center fire because of the 3 TC shots.
He's not taking your advice, sending wood.
Well, Sven's taking my advice, though. He's going for the greatcoats. 600 wood here is fine. So I think at the moment he's quite happy with the 4 banks. He wants to use that wood to produce more pikemen behind us. I would like to see a little bit of wall in here just to try and power block the coyotes, because at the moment coyotes can run from one side of the town centre to the other side of the town centre very, very easily, and would force all the villagers into the town centre idled currently. You might actually want to move these villagers on to this side, so it's just easier for them to get in and try and increase the distance from a potential Entente and Slinger raid if they come in from that angle down below. The wood comes in. Lucas, though, he's backing off. Is he waiting for another charge? There's some slingers there, 5 Entente slingers. Here come the 8 Entente slingers. Obviously, the Aztecs were nerfed heavily in the last patch. Pretty weak sieve in the current stand-ins. Hopefully we get to see that reverted at some point soon. 5 coyotes being trained behind this. He hasn't sent the 5 coyote shipment. Used to be 6, but only now 5 coyote runners. Coyote combat could be an interesting card for him to send after the 8 Entente slingers, though, just to increase the extra HP. And yeah, HP and speed, which is I think that would actually take the coyotes just. No, there'll still be 2 shot by the CM, but yeah, probably coyote combat here, not actually what he needs. This is just a potential game losing, just in case if Coyotes and Nuka came in at the wrong time there. That's 5 banks is very, very greedy, and in a very awkward place to build it as well. Especially like villagers getting back. If the Coyotes stand here, then all 5 of those villas are pretty much toast. He gets it up though. The herding's coming in, and Sven is, I think so far, is actually looking pretty fine. I'll be quite happy in Sven's point of view. He doesn't see all these coyotes behind this, but he should be training some Huss at the very least, maybe pikes. Yeah, actually sending pikes, training Huss. This is fine for Sven. He's actually managed to play us, in the end, really well.
Well, he's got the banks up now, so he's not producing. Obviously, going to be way ahead on eco. If he can just keep holding on, he's definitely going to be okay. It's just, I guess, about surviving these next few minutes. He's going to start to pull ahead significantly on eco, so looks like he's suddenly got a chance over here, which, I think a lot of people would be happy to take this game.
I never realised these Eagle Scouts can go in stealth. That's quite nice information. 2 coaches are going to go top side to raid this one villager. That villager, even with his great coaches so far in the town centre, is going to get picked off, and that feels a little bit helpless. But I suppose, obviously, the French have invisible native scouts. That's absolutely fine. Skirmishers and Minutemen poking away, but the Entente slingers will pick up the Minutemen relatively for free, just whittling down that range infantry. Sven needs to be careful to not drift too far from the town centre. He's being baited in, and here comes the Coyote. He's going to charge in. I don't think there's enough pikes here to actually push back, especially all these really tanky Nuka clubmen, and actually he needs to get into the town centre and play really defensive here. Coyote's actually on the front line, going to get a good connection onto it. Hussars...
Oh, the pathing of this build is now really hurting him. It's such a messy... see, the Cav just can't get around those Coyote runners.
No, it's fine. The Cav want to hold this off as long as possible and let the town centre and skirmishers do the damage. It was all the Coyotes getting stuck on the berry bushes, but the Hussars being zoned off away from the rest of the defensive pikemen, and Coyotes and Nuka just chasing the Hussars. Those pikemen need to join the Hussars very quickly and help the fight. Protecting the skirmishers is really nice, but you can't lose the Hussars in a trade like that. That's not a good trade for the Hussars. And the Coyotes and Nuka's just going to swarm the Hussars there. That is that's quite unfortunate there from Sven's point of view. He doesn't have another shipment ready to go. Would he call a CM? He does have a spare shipment. He's actually going to go for a villager pull at the moment. Oh, he's just lost all his pikemen as well now, and the Coyotes are on top of the villagers. Big batch of Hussars ready to come out though. Villagers are trying their best to tank up with their great coats.
But villagers are being lost, and he's lost 2 or 3, about to be 4 villagers.
Oh, God, that villager slammed into the side of the bank. The Entente slingers here are not messing around. Coyote runners are still on top of the Hussars. They now have that Coyote combat, which, versus regular town centre, no CM, actually will be a 3-shot kill behind this. So these Coyotes are even more tanky to build and fire and will overpower Hussars very, very easily. Skirmishers got no chance here, and the game's
Wow.
over. The GGs
Wow.
have been called. Lucas has won this series 3-0, 4-0, 3-0. Let's get that correct.
Wow.
And I would have,
Was that?
I would have thought at the end, the lack of CM in the end cost Sven that game.
I mean, but was that just the lack of CM, or was that also? I mean, it felt like he had the units, right? He had the units if he just stayed fighting right around the town center. I mean, was that just a micro win for Lucas in the end? I mean, could Sven have held if he just won that micro battle? It felt very, very close, and a few. I mean, getting those cav away from the town center where they just got eaten by those coyote runners. I mean, would it have been enough?
Yeah, so a couple things to note. The pathing around the town centre actually helped Sven in the end. Although this is the most jumbled base I've ever seen being built, it actually works quite well. That's a solid path, so the coyotes had to go around this side, get bugged with the trees and be quite annoying. The berries here, you think you can right-click through this, but it's actually quite awkward because these are physical objects. You can't walk through a berry bush. These do have their own collision radiuses, and try and push a formation through that or attack move through that's awkward. The market next to the coin mine, a couple of houses here. The base building here from Sven wasn't actually that bad, but the fifth bank, the fifth bank compared to 4 banks doesn't really provide that much extra eco. I know it's extra 4 vils and coin, but when you've already got the 4 banks, it doesn't overly matter that much. Sometimes people just build that 5th bank just for the experience points, just to send the next shipment afterwards. Towards the end, a shipment was stacking for a while. That could have been CM behind that. But 350 food onto the bank, less hussars. We've got the market here. That could trade extra food for more hussars. At the end, it was only a 4 batch. But if that CM did come in, you can buy some food, maybe drop 2 hussars from the batch, then call 15 defensive minutemen. And especially when Lucas is committed, a couple of hussars come out from the stable to snare the army. And then we're talking about reverse cleanup here with the Dutch player having a stronger eco. So it's a game of margins at this level, just like the Incan game, a game of margins. Very close contested games. I don't think the scoreline reflects the difference in ability. I think Sven put on a very, I won't say honourable, but a very respectable performance on his first tournament outing, certainly in the Definitive Edition era. So congratulations to Sven for that one. I enjoyed those games. And yeah, just come across
In the
strong...
meantime, we've got Lucas now. I mean, took care of obviously a very, very talented player in Minimolt 3-1. And now a 3-0 against Sven and up-and-coming new guard. I mean, you've got to like Lucas's chances to go deep at this point, right? So if I understand this correctly, which you'll correct me if I don't, that's Lucas now into the last 16 bracket stage wrapped up, correct?
Yes, Lucas has won Group B, so he will take one of the seeds between 1 to 8. So congratulations to Lucas winning this group. Obviously, it's regrettable that Sam Wise had to leave the tournament for personal reasons, so admin wins have been given to the various players along the way. Sven, okay, he's got past Sam Wise, he's now lost to Lucas, but it's okay, Sven can come back for a second chance. He's going to be taking on Minimolt, where Sven versus Minimolt, obviously Minimolt taking the bye versus Sam Wise again. They will be playing it out next week, and the winner of Sven or Minimolt will advance to the next round. So that will be a really close series, and I think Sven will be preparing very, very much for that matchup. But Minimolt, some say Minimolt is the stronger and more favoured player versus Lucas, so another tough matchup there for Sven. But congratulations to Lucas moving into the past the group stages, into the round of 8. And he will enjoy what comes up in the later rounds with the Civ drafting, the map picking, and the strategical elements that brings.
Amazing stuff. All right, I mean, so yeah, definitely agree. Congratulations to Lucas. I think we can consider him one of the, definitely a dark horse for the tournament. Why not? To definitely up there to make a deep run. Do we have H? Or what are you laughing at now, H? I mean, Harrison, what are you? What have I done now? What have I said?
You are churning up the drama as much as possible.
Got to be done.
I mean, to be fair, if we have, Sam Wise not in there, and well, yeah, well,
I mean, why not? I mean, we've got
believe. I don't know what potential opponents Lucas has afterwards. I haven't actually looked at the group stages and worked out which winner of which group will play who and that. But Lucas has been playing, pretty well. And what you want is you want players on form. You want players to hit the form at the right time. A good player who's not on form, which may ring a bell, is sometimes not what you need. You want somebody adapted to the meta, aware of the builds going around the place, plans in place to deal with them, good bit of form, and that can take you very far. So yeah, you know what, Patsy, I will agree with you. I'm calling it. Lucas is a dark horse for the